What is going on, guys? We are back and we've got some exciting stuff today. So as you can see around me, I've got some fun boxes full of some parts. We're actually going to be doing a full video on how to take apart all of your headlights, tail lights, signal lights, things like that. Take them apart, paint match the insides, and put them all back together. So I'm going to show you the parts and we're going to dive right into it. First one here is the headlight. This is the one I picked up. So what I want to do is do a little bit of a two-tone. So I'm going to leave some of the chrome inside of here and then paint match the rest of it. These are all for the dually build, by the way. So that's the headlights. We have some tail lights from Recon. These ones I also want to do a bit of a two-tone, so I'm going to leave some chrome pieces in there because I'm going to be doing polished accents on this truck. I know a lot of people like this little kind of C-bar that a lot of these taillights have in here. I think it's really clean when you just have this kind of LED piece right here. But yeah, so that's the taillights. And these are the signals I picked up. And you can see they've just got little like chrome accent inside of the lights here. I'm just gonna leave those and then paint match the rest of it. We're gonna take these inside, throw them in the oven and start splitting the lenses off, and I'll walk you through how that works. Don't worry about removing any of these wires or anything like that. Nothing's gonna get damaged, but oven's preheated to 225. So we're gonna go ahead, open this. We've got some wood boards in here. You don't want to set the plastic on the metal, it can melt. So we're gonna go ahead, take that, pop it in there, put a timer on for 7 minutes. We're gonna pull it and then try to pop that lens off. Okay guys, quick update. So I was able to bake the headlights apart, set the oven for 225, put these in for 7 minutes. They came apart like butter. It was super easy. A buddy of mine actually recommended a set of these just to pry them apart, and those worked perfectly, so you don't have to stick a flathead in there, mess the lens up trying to pry it all apart. So these are just little, like a little tool that you use to get off like plastic clips on trucks and stuff like that. So you should be able to get this at any part store near you. Okay guys, so we're gonna start cutting up the tail light so that we can pull the lens. These have to be cut. You can't bake them open. So when you cut this, I'll show you guys where you want to cut along. I already did one so that I could learn and make some mistakes and save you guys some time. So on this edge, you want to cut right on the back of this seam. This little slot right here is basically where the lens is attached. So you want to cut right along the back edge of this little ridge. When you come up to the corners, you're just going to come up around this corner. Then, lighting's not great. You're gonna follow right tight against this piece right here. You're gonna come this way. You're gonna cut right along this edge. I cut personally right on the top of this ridge. You could probably just cut in that bottom slot too. Just be careful not to nick the lens when you go through. And then follow that all the way down. These are a bit painful to work around. You kind of gotta cut down into these tabs right here and get them out of there, and then come up around the corner. Same thing on here. You're just going to cut like this, nice and tight around that corner, and then this should be able to pull out. Okay guys, so for the signals, all we're going to do is cut right along this inside edge all the way up and around. I cut right along on here, and I cut downwards like this. Just make sure you're not going too deep so you're not messing up the lens. Just go all the way around like that. In here, you're just gonna have to angle a little bit like this to get in behind the lens and cut this piece out of the way, just like I did here. Okay guys, so headlights are all scuffed up now, good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and get to work on the lenses. So we've got to do both the signal lenses and the taillight lenses. So we're gonna have to tape around this border where the black is showing, because if you go ahead and you just put that on and you have your nice painted internals, you're just gonna see this black border. So you have to paint this trim. So we're gonna go ahead, tape off this trim, give it a light scuff so that our primer is going to stick, and then do the same with the signals. If you're struggling to get into these tight little spots when you're scuffing these up, just grab something that's sturdy, you know, a screwdriver or anything like that. Wrap the Scotch-Brite or the sandpaper around it and kind of shove it into those little spots and just move it around. You'll be able to get it. It's a little tedious, but it is doable. Okay, so I've got my fine tape line going around the edge, just catching on the other side of that black line the whole way. So if you're looking at it this way, it's going to cover all that up. So now we can go ahead, we're going to tape off the inside edge and all this middle piece, and then we'll be able to paint these outside pieces and have her looking good. All right, taillights are all taped up. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the signals. We're just going to follow this line all the way around just to make sure that you don't see any of this black on the back side when it's all put together. Okay, all lenses are taped off, so we're going to go ahead, scuff up these edges so our primer is going to stick nice, and then we'll be ready for paint in the morning. Alright guys, welcome to my paint booth. So I've gone ahead, got everything prepped, and I also taped off the inside of these lenses just in case there's a bit of overspray. We want to make sure we don't get any overspray under that lens, so it's all taped off. Same with the taillight ones. Everything's all prepped. I'm going to give them a quick wipe down and we're going to start priming them. Okay, so we've got everything primed and ready for paint now. We're gonna go ahead, get these sprayed up, and then give them a nice clear coat. Okay, so we've got 2 coats of paint on them. Now we're gonna go ahead and clear them, but this is looking killer. Okay, so just starting to pull the tape off now, and got the first one removed. And I'm super happy with these lines and the nice chrome accent on these pieces. This is gonna look sick. Alright guys, we're back and we're ready to do the final steps. We're gonna put everything together now. So we're gonna start with the headlights. I've got all my headlight pieces laid out here. As you know, the taillights and signals had to be cut open, so I want to start with the one that we're going to have to seal up first. So I've got the Morimoto Retro Rubber Resealing Glue. So you can buy this from Morimoto, and this is just going to be what I'm going to use to seal them up. So we're going to go ahead and put this all back together first. We're going to get these housings back on, get this all covered up, get all the dust blown out of this, and then we're going to go ahead and start resealing. We're going to get that retro rubber in around the edge here. And then we're going to press these lenses on and we'll go through that process. One thing for you guys to know is if you've got smudges, I had some smudges on the inside of the lens. If it's on the outside, that's fine. If it's on the inside, you want to be careful. Don't just go put a cloth in there and start rubbing it around. You're going to scratch up the inside of the lens really bad because they have a soft protective layer on the inside. So if you've got smudges, go ahead, grab some Dawn dish soap or something like that, put it in the sink and just swash it back and forth. And then wash all that out, come out, spray with compressed air, and it'll come out nice and clean. You can see I've got no smudges left. So we are ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat this rubber just a little bit so it's easier to work with and kind of stretch along in this crack here. Make sure before you put all this together, you connect any wiring that you have, because once these are sealed up, you're gonna hate yourself if it's not done. Also, if you've got a bunch of residual glue left from when you originally pulled it out, don't worry about that. We're gonna use this and we're just gonna add to it. There's no reason to pull all this out just to replace it. We're just going to lay more in there to make sure that we get a nice good seal and make sure we don't have any air pockets that are going to create a leak. Okay guys, so I've got it smushed in all the way around. You can see the difference between these two. So you can see all the old gray. The blacks run around. Now these tabs right here sit in down here. So what I want to do is I put all the edges in just so I'm not kind of covering this and that stuff, and then I'm going to put this in and just add a little bit over the top of those lips right there just to make sure that those parts are sealed off as well and that these are held in place really nice. So I'm going to get this all together toss it in the oven for maybe a couple minutes and just make sure everything's squishing in nice, make sure there's no real gaps or anything. And then I'll press the lens on when that's a little bit warm so it's easier to get on. And then we'll put it back in the oven and that should seal it up. Whew. Okay guys, so the headlights are fully finished up. Everything's sealed really nice. I'm super happy with how these came out for our first time. They look really clean. I'm excited to get them on the truck, but we're gonna move on to signals and then tails afterwards. So let's get into that. So we've got our 3 separate pieces, the housing with the circuit boards, the lens, and the painted piece. This is the little front face. So we're gonna go ahead, get the circuit boards attached back to where they belong, slide this piece into here, and then we're gonna have to put the lens on and silicone around the outside. Make sure you feed your wires into the correct little openings here. So we've got one sealed off. All we're using is some black RTV silicone, and we're just gonna pop the lens on. You wanna make sure you get it on nice and flush, and you just run a bead of that stuff right along the outside edge. We're on to the final pieces. As you can see, I've got the taillights all assembled now. Really happy that I left these chrome. I think it just pops really nice. But everything's painted up. These are now attached to that back piece of the housing. So we're gonna roll them over, put the lenses on, and then just seal them up from the back. Do a little water test, make sure that we're good, and get them on the truck. Okay, there we go. Lenses are in place. These definitely aren't perfect, but I'm pretty happy with them for a first go. So as you can see, we've got our cut all the way along, everything's lined up. So we just have to go along, seal it off. We've got everything installed, heads, tails, and signals are all in. So we're gonna take a look at the final product. Here we go. These look great. I'm gonna get some good shots of them in the light for you guys. They came out awesome. Signals look good. I think they're so suiting for the truck too. There's our tails. So we left that chrome piece in the middle. So it all shines real nice, but that looks awesome. Super happy with those. These are looking great. I love this little bar that lights up as well. I think it looks really good. Whew. Yes, sir. Yeah. Show you guys what it looks like when we got the signals going. So it lights up 1/2 of these on each side. Ooh, those look good. Okay guys, that's gonna wrap this one up. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.